The RP show continues all across Canada and 32 U.S. states on the Game Plus television network and across Nevada on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network. It's our second week on that lovely channel. And here is Sweet Annie O.D. to make her debut in Nevada. I think it's her debut on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network. Hey, Annie, how are you, my gal?
I'm doing well, Rod. How about you?
Great. Happy New Year. And I added a title to your bio. I said fashionista, Sweet Annie. Would I be right in that? What do you think? What do you think?
Yeah. Listen, I'm not trying to pump my own tires here, but yes, you would be correct in that.
You would take it. You'll take it.
I would
Yeah, I
take it
got
for
you.
sure.
Okay. Annie, I got thinking of you because my buddy Brent here in Wellington, Florida, sent me FanDuel's list of projected win totals for all of the NHL, but they had the Ducks like right up there. They got Oilers, Golden Knights, Kings, Canucks, and then the Ducks right behind Vancouver. That's like fifth in the Pacific. Are you expecting a big jump for your Ducks this year? I know every year you do, but is this the year?
I think this is the year. I think this is the time when the goal ultimately is to be competing for a playoff spot or to be in the Stanley Cup playoffs come springtime. And do I think that's going to happen this year? It's tough because the Central is so stacked and you still have the heavy hitters in the Pacific, one of which obviously being Vegas. But I want to be competitive coming game 82. I think if the Ducks are down to the wire competing for a wild card spot come the last week of the season, and obviously that's pending. You got the Olympic break in there too, and that's obviously an X factor for every team that's got players in there. And how healthy are they after the break? Do they come back? Especially if you go in hot and then you leave for what is it, 2 to 3 weeks that we get off in February for Olympic hockey?
Mm-hmm.
So our team's able to pick up the pace, that same pace. But with this Ducks team, I think with the young talent, obviously we harp on the young talent constantly, but hopefully throughout the season, and especially with the Jackson Lacombe extension last year, I think Pat Verbeek is starting to get the hint that, hey, can't wait till summertime to get these RFA contracts done. Obviously, Mason McTavish only got in for one preseason game, which, listen, I'm all for shortening the preseason, so I'm sure that was plenty fine for him. But I think as the young core is locked in for the future, and it seems everybody's bought in on the mission and the vision for this team, as well as with Joel Quenneville behind the bench right now, I have high hopes. I do, pending everybody staying healthy and just taking that next step forward. I have high hopes for this team.
Okay, so before we splash this meme everywhere, and part of what's great about you is you are a hot take machine. I think this is the year. I have high hopes. That is that they make the playoffs, right? Not that they challenge for a Stanley Cup. Let's just clarify.
Oh.
Just so that people don't get the wrong idea.
I'm not delusional, Rod. I'm optimistic. I'm not delusional.
Exactly.
I would be thrilled with a hard-fought first-round exit.
Right. So before people go too crazy, Wayne in Victoria, BC writes in. He says, "Hey Annie." Sanderson writes up and says, "Sup Annie." So all your posse have shown up to cheer you on in this appearance here, Annie. So just take me a little deeper, by the way, just because there has been a massive change there in Anaheim. I think with the season starting now, Quenneville taking over, people are going to go, "Oh yeah, he went there." Trevor Zegras is gone. Now, he's been gone for a while. John Gibson's gone. Jeremy in Winnipeg writes in, he says, "How's John Gibson going to fare in Detroit, do you think?" Like, they've undergone a lot of change there.
They have. I think with the Zegras situation, you're hopeful because he was such a fan favorite, and I was such a fan of his as well. But it became abundantly clear that Pat Verbeek was not sold on Trevor Zegras' future in Anaheim. So, all the talks of everybody saying, "Oh, needs a change of scenery, needs that, just a fresh start somewhere." I would have loved to have seen him under Joel Quenneville to see how he would have done. But, I think if you gotta trust the vision. That's my whole thing. There's a plan here, regardless if you don't love the trade or not. And obviously there's still some, across the fan base, a lot of people aren't happy. A lot of people bought Zegras jerseys and were bought in on this kid being a part of the future and a part of the core that's going to return hopefully back to Stanley Cup contention. And with John Gibson, it's as big of a fan as I am of him, this has been so long overdue. It has been, as a fan of this team, it has been so hard watching this guy get hung out to dry each and every night, get peppered with shots, and just so I'm curious to see how he will do with because now the Ducks have a lot of blue line talent in front of him that John Gibson didn't have in years prior. So I am hoping for a resurgence for John Gibson. I wish him all the best. But after extending Lukas Dostal, it just doesn't make sense to have that much money tied up in your goaltending tandem, especially even with the rising cap and with the cap space the Ducks have.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think Lukas is making $7 million this year, I believe, and Gibson's still around that 6.25. Like, you don't need almost $15 million tied up in your goaltending tandem. You just not in this game. You don't. So easy. I think it's Peter Mrazek that's going to be his backup here, and that's a more Luke Dostal is ready for the number one spot. If you could have gone with a 1A 1B situation for a little bit, okay, but at this point, name your starter, name your guy, and move forward. But yeah, it's a lot of change in this team, but also a lot of good change too. Mikhail Granlund up on that offense. We got Chris Kreider, which still kind of hurts my head to look at seeing him in orange. But he's a welcome addition just from the preseason games I watched. Having him on the power play is definitely a game changer, and he seems to be a fan favorite in the locker room. So hey, a few new faces here, but let's see what happens.
Sweet Annie OD with us from the Cherry Bomb podcast on the Anaheim Ducks, as you can see by the wall behind her. If we have time, we'll get around to some baseball here. But, you mentioned the preseason being shorter. The other night, with the brawl for it all, we'll always talk about it in Sunrise, the Lightning and Panthers. One guy walked by me in the booth. He's like, God, I'll be glad in the press box when this preseason's shorter. And I'm like, it's more hockey. I like all the games. But why obviously you agree with him. You'll be happy when they cut it down to 4 games. Am I right? Next year?
I think the purpose of the preseason for me is obviously, guys get a game to get your sea legs out from under you, get warm before points are on the line here. But it's also for, those borderline guys, the guys that are maybe in between, not quite NHL ready, but, are trying to make the roster out of camp. So I think when you have too many games, obviously you're opening up the door for injury, because these guys, the pros, the guys that are locks, aren't going to play their best. I mean, I wouldn't, at least. But you got these guys that are fighting for jobs here, and they're going to get aggressive. They're going to put 110% out there on the ice against guys that aren't there. And I just don't think it's, as far as injury goes, as far as team health goes. I mean, last preseason, there were a laundry list of injuries and guys not dressed for opening night for their teams. So at that point, I think 4 is a perfect amount of preseason games. Have them in division, very little travel. You want an fun exhibition game here and there, go for it. I forget somebody did a fun, where were they? No, it was the Kings in Utah. I think we're in Boise, Idaho for a game. I might completely mix that
Honestly,
up.
I'm not sure.
Those like exhibition games in a market without an NHL team, I think, are really cool. But preseason should be about kind of a preseason warm up, dress rehearsal in a sense. So I'm just thinking of that.
Not marketing per se is what you're saying. Like Panthers went up to Quebec City last year. They played 8 preseason games. I could see why they would be sick of it here. The Panthers have played so much hockey the last couple of years. But, you mentioned how excited you are, or I have high hopes. I wrote it down. I think this is the year. Have you noticed?
You're going to post that everywhere, aren't you?
Of course, that's what we do.
The Ducks are going to go on a 7-game losing streak, and that'll be all over Twitter.
We'll take it down. All those screenshots are a horrible thing, but they are excited everywhere. They're even excited in Chicago, or at least going into the season they were. I see San Jose is dead last in this FanDuel ranking of wins. Do you jive with that the Sharks are going to be last in the Pacific, or no?
Last in the Pacific, yes. Yeah, I think, obviously a lot of young talent there, bright future. The fans, it's so fun. It's interesting to see, even some of these bottom dweller teams, the fan base, they're getting excited about the future. They see the vision that Mike Greer is building there. And they know, I mean, gosh, those San Jose fans have been through so much in their 35-year history of playoff disappointment. But, this core and this young team is getting them excited to watch hockey again, and I think that's great. I mean, I know Calgary is kind of is hoping for what is it, hometown boy Gavin McKenna to to land him in the draft next year. I don't think they'll be worse than San Jose. I think that's a fair prediction. But yeah, I'd safely say San Jose at the bottom.
I think everybody's trying to get Gavin McKenna. Yeah, but
True.
this is funny. By the way, couple things. Viewership goes up when Annie's on. How about that? Funny how that works. Thank you, Annie, for beefing our numbers. Number two, I heard you, fashionista, sweet Annie. You said you a couple of times hacky. Is your family originally from Michigan, or where did you pick up that Michigan hacky slang?
I've said hacky. That's news to me.
At least once. I'll rewind
maybe
it
it's
and find
the
it.
maybe I don't know. I lived in Pittsburgh. I lived in Chicago. Maybe that's where I got it from. And I lived in New York for a bit. So maybe it's a mixture of everything. But I feel like I'm mostly the California, don't pronounce your T's, don't pronounce. That's why Toronto, when everyone's like, oh, it's Toronto, you don't pronounce the T in Toronto. I was like, easy. Like I'm a Californian. I do that already. So I'll have to watch, I'll have to watch myself for that.
I was a little off with my Michigan thing, but northern anyways. Hacky. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Brian is watching the Queen City. He says, if a bunch of crows is called a murder, what is a flock of ducks called? A bunch of ducks. Do you know?
I always assumed it was a flock.
Okay, I think it would be a flock of ducks too. Yeah, I would agree. Well, since we're staying in this California region, this FanDuel projection has the Kings in the playoffs. I mean, what do you expect out of the rivals up the road there?
I mean, they made it interesting last night. Well, I assume this is shows in Vegas now, so I assume you were watching that game last night.
Wild.
I mean,
Wild
game, but what a great game to start, especially because they were the only team to play a back-to-back so far, because they played Colorado in LA the first night of the season, which obviously it's not a far trip from LA to Vegas, but I think it's so funny because, you got obviously Kopitar's last dance, and I hope he gets the flowers he deserves. Obviously, one of, if not the most underrated players in this I would say in the post-cap era for sure. But, there was an article coming out today too. I don't know if it was an article or an excerpt from Drew Doughty saying his priority this year is to make that Team Canada roster and to not about winning the Stanley Cup with the LA Kings. And a lot of fans not too happy about that in LA, but you hear interviews from these guys and they all pick. I mean, if they were to pick between Olympic gold for their country and a Stanley Cup, they would pick Olympic gold. I think majority of them have said that in interviews that I've seen just in the past. But it's interesting because I feel like the Kings have been praised for this retool that they've done, where they've missed a playoffs. I think it was 3 or 4 years a little while back without truly tearing it down and keeping their core intact, and to honor the guys that have been there. And, that's one strategy to do it. But I also think that, you've limited yourself as far as the talent you've been able to get in there, which obviously Quentin Byfield, they were able to nab. What was that? Was that the 2020 draft?
They're flying by.
I know, especially the COVID draft years. You're just like, what year was that? But I've no doubt they make the playoffs for sure. There's still such a strong team there, and especially if Darcy Kemper puts up another great year in net. And I'm rooting for a great year when he gets back into the lineup for my man Corey Perry too. So I await.
You're still a fan of him from back in the day?
Yes, okay. I am. I can't help it. I will always root for the guy.
Yeah, I think you took it hard when he signed to the Kings. I think I saw your tweet.
A little hard, but I've since turned my opinion around, because the Kings fans have hated him for so long, from his Duck days, and obviously him being an Oiler and that rivalry that's formed. And one thing, you look at his time in Dallas, in Montreal, in Tampa, that little short stint in Chicago, and then Edmonton, he has a way of making fans just fall in love with him when he is on their team. He is so fun to root for when he is on your team, and Kings fans will give in eventually. They will. Time will tell.
Okay. Then we got about 5 minutes. I think that should give us time to do our breakaway picks. Do you mind doing just straight up picks tonight? Who wins? Because there's 14 games. It's going to take a while. Just I'm throwing it out there.
Woo!
I won't
Sure,
hold you to
let's
it.
do it.
Okay. Islanders at Pittsburgh. Matthew Shaper's debut facing Crosby. Who wins? Islanders at Pittsburgh tonight.
Oh, Pittsburgh.
That's two of us. Montreal Canadiens at the Detroit Red Wings.
Oh, they're wearing those Centennial jerseys, aren't they? That's their
I
home
guess so.
opener. Oh, I'm going Wings for that. Plus, Montreal had a big game against the Leafs last night, so.
And got spanked. Yeah. Chicago at Boston. Connor Bedard into Boston. I'm going to take the Blackhawks. Call me crazy. How about you?
You know, me too. Me too.
Okay. That's two of us. Rangers at Sabres.
Rangers.
Yeah, me too. I don't think Buffalo's 2 minutes. That's it. We got to go fast.
All right,
3
let's
minutes.
rapid fire.
Okay. Yeah, Philadelphia at Florida.
Florida.
Me too. Ottawa at Tampa.
Tampa.
Definite bolts. New Jersey at Carolina.
New Jersey.
That's like the game of the night. I will take the Canes. Columbus at Nashville.
Jeez, Columbus.
Does somebody have to
Literally.
win? I'll take Nashville. Dallas at Winnipeg. Jets for me.
Dallas.
Minnesota at St. Louis.
Oh, Minnesota.
Oh, she's confident on that one. Utah at Colorado.
Colorado.
Me too. Anaheim at Seattle.
Anaheim.
Yeah, the Ducks will always top a Kraken. We don't even know what that is. Vegas at San Jose.
Oh.
Definitely
Vegas
Golden
played
Knights.
last
Got to be
night.
Golden Knights.
I'll
Yeah,
go
but
Vegas.
they
Yeah,
lost.
I was like,
Yeah.
could the Sharks? No.
And Flames at Vancouver. Canucks for me. Big home opener for Vancouver.
True. Yeah, I'll go Vancouver.
Okay. All right. We got through it. Annie, where can people check out the Cherry Bomb podcast?
You can check it out on Apple, Spotify, and anywhere you get your podcasts. New episode will be out later today, and then weekly from there. So, yeah.
All right. What are you going to be talking about?
It's a little bit of an emotional episode because it's the first time I'm podcasting since losing my brother this summer. So gonna touch on him a little bit and then talk about division previews and a little bit of the Connor McDavid contract extension, as well as a few other fun topics in the hockey world. So
that sounds like an outstanding episode, and condolences on the passing of your brother. He seemed great. I've seen all the photos and everything. So good luck with that episode. Cool guy.
Thank
cool
you. I
family.
appreciate it.
All right, Annie. Well, as always, thank you so much for the time. Good luck with the season, and thanks for the time here today.
Always a pleasure, Rod. Look forward to talking again soon.
Fashionista, Sweet Annie O'D from the Cherry Bomb podcast, where she covers the Ducks and, as you see, all of the National Hockey League. Don't go anywhere just yet, Annie, because we're going to be breaking away in a second. Everybody, a sports update is on the way next, as well as viewer takeover. We'll be right back across Nevada on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network, across Canada and 32 U.S. states on Game Plus Television, and, of course, the usual YouTube Live podcast and 1700 AM Mission Radio.